Hey, it's Tracy. I am getting ready to make Buckeyes. And I thought, well, might as well just record it, I guess. I haven't recorded anything in a little bit, mainly because I have been super busy trying to get ready to open my little shop inside a shop at my daughter's boutique here in town in West Jefferson. I'm gonna rent a room from her, and I'm trying to get everything ready for that. And we've just been busy, and to be honest, we've eaten out a lot. So there's just the two of us, and sometimes it's just easier to do that. So I'm hoping to get back on track with some more cooking videos here in the next, it'll probably be about maybe one within the week, and then after that, hopefully more of them, because I have a long list of cooking videos that I would like to do. Today I'm making Buckeyes because I am going to have like a baked good, I guess, candy, because Buckeyes candy, sell this Saturday at a local venue here that's having their first annual just a little festival. And we're gonna set, me and my daughter Allison and my friend Kate and my friend's daughter Caitlin, and we're gonna set up this weekend and just try to go out and see the public and set up our baked goods. So I'm gonna make the Buckeyes. I have made Buckeyes my whole life, literally. I helped my mom make them when I was a kid, and I kind of got traumatized a little bit from it because my mom, I guess that's where I get my OCD from. You had to roll Buckeyes the right size, or she was make you do it again. So she liked them to be a little bit smaller. Some people like their Buckeyes really big, but my mom always liked them a little bit on the smaller side, and I guess I was kind of trained to have them a little bit on the smaller side too. I do make them a little bit bigger than I would for at home when I'm gonna sell them, because I just think they're a little bit bigger sizes, nicer to sell, but they're still not really large like some people make them, which that's fine. If that's your preference, is to have large Buckeyes, that's your preference. I've made them since I've been an adult my whole life. I usually make them around Christmas, in the winter typically. I did make some this past year around Mother's Day and sold them in little gift boxes, and that was a lot of fun. So I do enjoy making them, and a lot of people like them. So they are a lot of work. They're not hard, they're just time consuming. But a lot of people like them, and I enjoy making things for people that wouldn't normally make them, and they really enjoy eating them. So that's one of the reasons that I make them. I'm sorry to talk a lot. I just had a lot to say about that, I guess. So hopefully you stuck with me this long. If not, I'll try to put where you can fast forward to where I start the actual mixing of the Buckeyes. I turned my camera around because I'm usually over there by the stove, and I didn't need a stove, so I thought, well, I'll just do it at the kitchen table. My kitchen is really little in my house, and it's hard to set up a camera where you can see everything, so I'm still trying to figure all of that out, so bear with me. But we'll see what we can do here. So you need to remember to be able to count to 3 to do your Buckeyes. So you need 1 pound of butter or margarine, which I always use Blue Bonnet margarine. I just always have. So use 1 pound of margarine, 2 pounds of peanut butter. So there's your 1, 2, and then you need 3 pounds of powdered sugar. So it's 1, 2, 3. So just remember 1, 2, 3. 1 pound of butter or margarine, 2 pounds of peanut butter, and 3 pounds of powdered sugar. Now, you can give or take on that, because sometimes different brands of powdered sugar, you have to use a little bit more. I've never really had to use less, but I have had to use a little bit more. And you'll see when I go to mix it up, you kind of get a feel for the Buckeye mixture and know when it's ready to roll out. And that's kind of just a trial and error and an experience thing. I don't know. I could just try to show you on the camera, you know, the consistency of it, but it's kind of a thing you got to feel for. And this jar of peanut butter is actually 3 pounds. So I'm not gonna try to measure out 2 pounds. I do have a food scale here, which I could easily do that, but I'm just gonna eyeball it because I figure I'll just try to divide this in 3 in my head and put 2/3 in there. If it's a little bit more, it's okay. It doesn't really have to be precise as long as you get around those measurements. I do always use a pound of margarine no matter what. And you will need some vanilla, which I prefer pure vanilla, but you can use any vanilla that you have. And it's just a couple of teaspoons per batch. I don't know, I just pour a little bit in. You will need semi-sweet morsels, and I always try to use Nestle Toll House. Even though I'm a Kroger girl, I like Nestle Toll House morsels. I have used Kroger brand before. There's nothing wrong with that. I just, for some reason, prefer the Nestle Toll House morsels. So that's what I always buy. And I buy this huge bag at Sam's Club. And it varies also on how many morsels you need. Like, this is a huge bag. I think the original recipe called for like 2 bags of the normal size you'd use in chocolate chips. But I was never able to use 2 bags. So if you can, that's great. You will be putting the chocolate chips in just a little bit of this Gulf wax. It doesn't take much, just a little bit of it, and I'll show you when I go to put it in the double boiler. And this is what helps the chocolate stay on the Buckeyes, and it also helps it have a nice shiny finish, and it just makes it really neat and smooth. And my mom always used that, so that's just what I've always used. I know there's dipping chocolate, and I know people put chocolate in the microwave and do it that way sometimes. I have never done that. If you have and you feel more comfortable doing that, I'm sure that's fine. I'm just going to show you the way that I've always done it. And when I'm making Buckeyes for an event, or if I'm selling them, which I haven't really sold them that often, I just have done that a couple of times, but I did make them for a wedding, my son's wedding at the end of last year, and I tried to make them all, I wanted them all to look pretty, so that's the reason I had my food scale here, because I am selling these Buckeyes, and I just use it for a few times to try to make sure all of them are about the same size, because I know that's OCD, and you do not have to do that. Obviously, if I'm just making them for home or Christmas, I do not weigh them. But I like to have them kind of all about the same size when I'm selling them, especially if I'm putting like a dozen in a box. I just think they look better, so that's what I like to do. Again, I know that's over the top, and you do not need to do that, so I'm just showing you what I do. I always use, I'm going to stand up, which I'll probably cut off my top of my head, but it's okay. You don't need to see me anyways. You need to see my bowl. So I have just a regular mixing bowl here. It really doesn't have to be that large. It's just a normal mixing bowl. And kind of a stiff spoon, because I like to use a stiff spoon to get the peanut butter out. So just 1 second, I'm going to wash my hands really good here. So I wash my hands. Obviously, I've seen people use like their KitchenAid mixer on like Facebook, or when I was watching videos to mix this up. I, again, have never had luck doing that either. I just like to use my good old hands, and that's what my mom always did, so that's just how I was taught, and that's what I do. So that's the reason I'm washing my hands good, because I'm going to have my hands down in this dough. And you obviously want to make sure that your butter is softened, and like I usually just leave it out overnight. It doesn't even hurt to stay out longer than that. I know some people fret against that, but I've left butter out my whole life, and I've never had any issues. So I usually leave at least 1 pound of butter out at room temperature, but I did just lay this out recently, again, because I was selling it, and I just want to make sure I'm doing everything by the book. So I'm just going to put all 4 sticks of butter down in my mixing bowl, which I don't need this yet, so I can move it. So I'm going to move that over. I had to send my dogs outside. I tried to leave them in here, and they're barking at everything, and I couldn't even talk. So I said, okay, you're going outside until I get done. Every time, they don't bark I mean, they do go through phases of barking, but they don't bark, seems like, until I get ready to videotape, and there they go. So for now, I'm just going to throw this over here. So I have 4 sticks of butter in here. I'm going to open up my peanut butter, which I probably could have been more prepared, but oh well. I'll edit this video out, so hopefully you won't see everything. And I haven't taken that off. So I'm just literally, like I said, I'm just going to eyeball it. And if I get a little bit too much peanut butter in here, it's okay, because I'll just add a little bit more powdered sugar. So, and you can half the recipe too if you don't want that many. It also varies how many it makes. I never get the same number anytime, but it depends how big you make them, your Buckeyes, how many you get. I'm gonna safely say it could probably be anywhere between like 100 and 175 Buckeyes with this. It just depends how big you make them. And when I get done, I'll count them. I don't always usually count them, and I wasn't prepared for that when I did this video, so I'll try to count them when I get done and at least give you an idea of how many I made at the size that I'm gonna make them. There, I got some peanut butter on my hand. I'm gonna get a spatula here and just get the rest of that off of there. It's messy to make Buckeyes. That's probably the reason a lot of people don't make them. I'm gonna put my chocolate chips back here in my golf wax because I don't need that. So my powdered sugar. This is, now I do use, they used to make powdered sugar in boxes, but I don't see it sold in the box anymore. And the box, it would usually be more precise, I think, and for some reason it was measured different than these bags. I don't know, even though they said the same weight, for some reason I don't know, it was just different. I used to like to buy the boxes. So the bags, you just never really know, but this bag has 4 pounds of powdered sugar in it, and you could weigh out the powdered sugar or just buy the exact amount. I just have this big bag, and I'm going to make some buttercream icing too later, and I've got another big bag from Sam's Club, so I have a lot of powdered sugar, so I thought I'll just use this Domino's for this one. But Sam's Club powdered sugar is really good too. I usually buy it when I'm going to bake very much stuff. So I'm not going to measure this, but again, you could use your food scale and you could measure it out and make sure you have exactly 3 pounds. And you can make sure you have exactly 2 pounds of peanut butter. Again, it might not always, you still might have to add some more powdered sugar to make it the right consistency. So it's just a guide to go by. I'm just going to pour some of this in here. It's going to take like 3/4 of the bag, so I know I need to put most of the bag in there. So I'm just going to go on and do that. You see, it was a 4-pound bag, and I'm down to there. I'm probably close to 3 pounds, I'm guessing. I have got my vanilla here. I'm going to take the lid off of it because I'll wait until I mix it up a little bit to pour it in there. And that way I've already got it off because you have to wash off everything because it's messy. So I'm just going to take my hands and just start squeezing. You just start taking your hands and mixing it up. And like I said, it's messy. It'll get out on the table and it'll fly across the room sometimes, but to me it's the best way, and it's the way that I can feel and know that it's ready to form a ball and roll up. And what I do is I just wanted you to see how I do it. It takes a little bit, and sometimes your hand, like my hands, they get tired the older I get, which I've used a keyboard my whole life, so I think my hands are just getting old and tired. I think I've got arthritis, so sometimes it does hurt my hand to do this, and every now and then I'll have to give it a rest for a second. We'll see how good my hands are today. I haven't really used them all that much today, so we'll see. I usually get out, which I'll show you, I don't have them out yet, some pans and line them with wax paper, and that way your peanut butter balls don't stick to the bottom, especially when you go to dip them. You've already got it on the wax paper, so when you go to dip them, and I'll show you when I go to dip them. I usually roll them out on the pans, and then I'll put them in the refrigerator or the freezer. I try to put them all in the freezer because you want them kind of frozen or really cold to dip them, and it's just hard getting enough space. I did earlier clear out my freezer, so I actually went on and put the pans in there to make sure they would fit, because sometimes if you've got your hands full and you're trying to roll out the Buckeyes, it's like you got to be kind of quick and figure out what to do with your pan. So I went on and made sure I had room in my freezer and cleaned out a couple things out of it and got it ready. We do have a big freezer in the basement, and we have a freezer out in the garage, but I don't think the one out in the garage could hold anything, but the one in the basement probably could. So if I had to take it down there, I would. And again, if I didn't have room, you could just use your refrigerator and then kind of switch them out, is what I do. I put them in the fridge, and then the ones in the freezer, when I go to dip them, I just put the ones in the fridge and the freezer, and then while I'm dipping them, they'll get harder too. And you can tell when you go to dip them, because they'll like you use a toothpick to dip them, and you can tell because they'll fall off. The ball will fall off, and you're like, okay, it's not hard enough to dip. And if that's the case, I just put them back in the freezer and wait, because it's not even worth it, because it's just a pain. And I have had that happen. Now, if you see here, I got this mixed up, and it's still really sticky. Like, I don't know, I think you can see it, but it's like really sticky. That is way too sticky. You don't want it that sticky. I'm gonna go on, it might take this whole bag of powdered sugar, because I feel like I still need quite a bit, but I'm gonna try to dump part of this in here. Let's see. And I think I'll go on this round and just put a couple of, that's probably more than a teaspoon, I don't know, probably a couple tablespoons of vanilla in there, since I already had it mainly mixed up. So I'm gonna go on and mix this back in. When you get it mixed up, the consistency of it is more like, I don't know, like it almost don't even stick to your hands anymore. And like it just kind of starts all sticking together, and your hands will even be almost clean of what you're mixing. So that's kind of how you know. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. And like I said, it's trial and error, and you just have to try it and go from there. But I personally think that Buckeyes are better when they're at room temperature. I like them when they're soft. I mean, we do keep them in the freezer, like when we're storing them, or the refrigerator. And don't get me wrong, I can eat them like that too, because I love Buckeyes and I love peanut butter and chocolate. But they're the creamiest if they're at room temperature. So that's my suggestion, is to let them sit out for a minute and get at room temperature. At least try them that way, if you haven't before, because they are really creamy and good if they're at room temperature. This is getting a lot closer. I don't know if you can see here, it's more like forming like a ball. And so it's getting a lot closer than it was. It is still a little sticky, so I'm probably gonna add a little bit more flour. It is getting really hard to mix up, but that's what it does. And then I just kind of keep flipping it, because when it gets in this big ball like this, a lot of the powdered sugar will kind of get stuck at the bottom. So then I'll just flip it and make sure I'm incorporating the powdered sugar that got stuck at the bottom on there. It's just a bunch of mixing, and it's still sticky. So I think it's gonna take this whole bag, but I'm gonna try to put about half of what's left in there, because I don't want to put too much. But so my 1, 2, 3 rule, which I didn't measure my peanut butter. Like I said, it's just a guide. It's not perfection. And I didn't measure the peanut butter, so I could have easily used more than 2 pounds, which is fine. But, and I was trying, well, it's getting really close now, so it might not take the whole bag, because I don't have this mixed in yet. My hand is getting really tired, and it's hurtful. So, let's see. This is the hardest part to me of the Buckeye. I mean, the rolling out part is easy. It's just time consuming. This part is actually kind of hard. Like, it's hard on your hands. But it doesn't last that long. And it's worth it in the end to have your good Buckeyes. I'm going to switch to my left hand for a second, some, if you notice, because my right hand is giving out on me. Because it is thick. I was trying to decide, and you see here my hands are almost clean. And that kind of is a sign that it is the right consistency. Because right now, if I just go like this, my hands are pretty much clean. And before that, when it was sticky, they just stick. It sticks straight to your hands. And this is really close to being done. I still see a couple places of powdered sugar. I was trying to make sure it got mixed in. It is, I think, right now done. Yep, I believe it is. So here we are. Here is our dough. See, it's just literally a thick mixture of peanut butter and powdered sugar and butter. Now I'm gonna push this over. I just realized my lid to my vanilla is sitting there. I might need to wash that out before I put it back on there. I didn't realize I left it sit there. So I'm gonna get a pan and I'll be right back. I could have probably already had this ready, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna take some wax paper and I'm just gonna line the bottom of this pan with the wax paper. And now I know just from experience that I think I like these. I think that these are about the size that I want is like, I believe it was 0.65 grams or 0.65 pounds. So I think that is the size. If I'm doing them for home, I probably really do like 0.5 or 0.55 pounds if on a food scale, if you're wanting to just kind of see the size that I use. Again, there is no right or wrong size. If you like small or big, you just make them ever how you like them. Again, I was making them a little bit bigger because I'm selling them. So you're just going to roll them. And when I roll them, they kind of make a little like diamond shape almost. And I just take my fingers and pat them out to make them more like a circle. So then I just set the circle down in my pan. And after I measure for a couple of times, because like I said, I'm only measuring these because I am selling them. A lot of times, right when I take it out, I'll kind of get the feel for how much it is when I go to measure it. And I don't have to measure every one of them, but I like to measure the first few to make sure. Again, I'm just making it into a ball the best I can. And now my mom would think these are too big, these Buckeyes. But I've seen people make a lot bigger than these, and I'm just trying to make them a good size to sell because I don't want people to think they're too little when they go to buy them. And I hope they sell. If not, I might be having a Facebook sale when I get back. It's Thursday today, and the sale is Saturday. I took tomorrow off work. I'm hoping to finish the Buckeyes tonight. I plan on making 2 batches of these, and that's a lot of Buckeyes. So I'm gonna try to do the Buckeyes tonight. If I don't get them all dipped, I'll finish dipping them tomorrow. But I'm making these mini muffin tin cakes also, and I was gonna do those tomorrow with buttercream icing on them. So I'm gonna try to make the buttercream icing tonight too. So I have a lot. I'm good at procrastinating. I work best under pressure. That's what I always tell myself. I don't know if it's just lack of organization and planning skills, but it's how I spend my life, is living by the seat of my pants. And I always get it done. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to have to stay up late a couple nights, but I'll get it done. I'm just naturally a procrastinator. I do plan, like I have everything I need, and I've been planning for it for a long time, and I've had everything in the basement, like my little containers and my boxes I'm gonna put my Buckeyes in. Like, I don't procrastinate on that kind of stuff. I have been planning, you know, and I knew in my head what I was gonna make and stuff. So I've got all the stuff. I just didn't make. I probably could have made the Buckeyes even like a week ago because they would stay in the freezer. But here I am making them 2 days before. It's okay. I hope it's not too loud in here. I guess I'll go see when I go to edit the video, but our central air went out. You would think that it would start cooling off, but it has been really hot outside. So we have window air conditioners, which I'm so thankful for that we've got them. So we have 3 window air conditioners on this level. So there's one in our bedroom, one in my office, and one in the living room. So I have fans going everywhere, trying to circulate the air throughout the house. So I hope it's not too loud and that you can hear me. And I didn't even think and turn my dishwasher on, so I've got the dishwasher on and my fan's going. So hopefully I'm talking loud enough that you can figure it out. So I'm gonna, or listen, or hear it, I guess. I said figure it out. I am gonna measure again because I was sitting there talking. I didn't pay that close attention. I'm just gonna try to keep them between like 0.64, 0.65. So they're all uniform in shape. This won't be my true amount because I'm making them bigger, but when I do them again and make them at the size that we would have them, I'll have to count them again, but I'll count them and tell you how many they make with this size. So I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me roll out every one of them, but I was just trying to give you an idea of what I do. And once you do a few, it's fine. And I don't know, I've just done it so long, I can make pretty good round Buckeyes. But I know if you don't like, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're round, they taste the same. So if you have lumpy Buckeyes, it's fine. I've got OCD issues. I think I've mentioned that before. I'm like a perfectionist. It's just, I wish I wasn't like that because sometimes it's really aggravating. But so I'm just going to continue to make these Buckeyes, because sometimes you feel like the end of this mixture is never going to end when you go to mix them up, because this, like I said, it's not hard. It just takes time. And if you've never done it before, it'll take you even longer because you're not used to it. It's also good if you have a helper in the kitchen that likes to help roll out the Buckeyes. My problem is my mom taught me to be OCD, and when somebody does help me, I'm like, oh, you're not doing it right. I find myself being my mom. So they probably don't like to roll out with me, but although I don't usually have much help doing it anyways. I did always help my mom, hint hint to my kids, I always help my mom roll out the Buckeyes, even if she did make me send a few back, but it's how I learned to get them right. Okay, I got my Buckeyes rolled out and they're in the freezer. I counted and there was 101 Buckeyes, and those are larger Buckeyes. So when I said you could easily have like 100 to 175, you definitely could, depending on the size that you make them. I am getting ready to start melting my chocolate to dip my Buckeyes. So I have this glass double boiler. I've already put water in it. This is a great double boiler. I don't even know if you can buy them anymore. My Aunt Birdie, she's my cousin, but more like my aunt, when I first moved up here to Ohio 30 years ago, she had a double boiler like that, and she said this is the best double boiler to use for anything, but especially Buckeyes. Well, lo and behold, I was at a yard sale one day years later and found one. And then after that, I ended up getting another one off of eBay and got it for Allison for actually for Christmas, part of her Christmas one year. So I've been on the lookout for these double boilers. So you can find them here and there, but I don't think they sell them in stores anymore. But they're nice because they're glass and you can see through them. And the inside of this part it's deep. It's like kind of narrow and deep, which is what you need when you're going to dip something. So a couple things before I do this. I was going to let you know that I know some people use crunchy peanut butter with their Buckeyes, and that's definitely an option. I do not like crunchy peanut butter, but if you do, I think they'll be fine with crunchy peanut butter in them. And oh, it seems like there was something else. Now I can't think what it was. but maybe I'll think of it while I'm putting this in here. So remember we were using our Gulf wax, and I'm literally, it's kind of like really hard. I had to take like a knife and break it up. It comes in the whole one looks like this, but you don't need near that much. What I'm gonna do is, I think I'm just gonna start out with this one for now. And I'm gonna just put it right in the bottom of my double boiler. And I'm gonna turn my double boiler on, well, like medium. If you put too much water in and you've turned it too high, it'll boil over. So you gotta be careful about that. But you just need the water to like heat up and start kind of simmering, really. You don't have to be boiling to melt the chocolate. And then I'm just gonna take my semi-sweet chocolate morsels, and I'm just gonna pour them in my double boiler, and I don't know, I'm gonna fill it kind of full because I have a lot of Buckeyes to dip, and I'm gonna make another batch, and once they start melting they kind of go down some, so I'm gonna just kind of almost put it to the top, I guess. So that's about almost half of that big bag. So you can see I put this much in there. I'm just gonna put it on the stove. It does take a little bit. You just kind of have to keep stirring it up as it melts and coming and checking on it. I just kind of leave it on medium to low while I'm doing other stuff and come in and check on it, and eventually it'll be ready. The paraffin, you kind of know when you got to add more of it. You also have to keep it mixed up in there because you'll see it like on top where it separates, and you just got to make sure you mix it up real good to dip them. And maybe I'll be able to show you that when I'm going to dip them. And just keep it mixed up real good. And eventually, if you need more paraffin, as you put more chocolate chips in, it kind of just starts not feeling the same or looking the same. You can just kind of tell by looking that you kind of need to add another piece. So if I add another piece, I'll probably add this little piece when I put some more in, and it should probably be plenty. Every now and then you might have to add a little more, but for the most part, that really doesn't take much paraffin. A box of this paraffin lasts like forever when you go to do it. So I'm gonna let it melt, and I'll continue after it melts. You can see here that it is starting to get completely melted, and as you can see, the chocolate chips have went down a whole lot. That's the reason I filled it all the way full. I could really add some more, but I'm gonna try just to let this get finished so I can start dipping some Buckeyes instead of waiting. But that's what it looks like so far. It still isn't done yet. I still have to wait until it's completely melted. Okay, I hope you can see this okay. I kind of put it up close so you can see what I'm doing and not really see me. Anyways, you obviously need toothpicks to do this, and I like the kind of longer ones with the sharp edges, so that's what I'm using. And these have been in the freezer. They're hard as a rock, which is what I want. You can still put a toothpick in them and pick them up. I guess I could show you that this is really melted now. And I can still see a little piece of the paraffin in there, but I'm just going to keep mixing around it because it takes a long time for that paraffin to melt. So I'll just keep mixing around it and making sure I don't put the Buckeye right beside it. It won't hurt anything. It'll just make an ugly Buckeye, and it'll just have more shiny spot on it. It won't hurt to have it near there. So I'm going to take my Buckeye, and I'm just going to kind of wiggle it around and make it dip till it looks like a Buckeye, almost to the top. Now, when you first do this, there is a learning curve to it, I think, but you just have to do it, and practice makes it better. And there will be ugly Buckeyes. I always have ugly Buckeyes too. Like sometimes you drop one in there, or it just doesn't do right. So you will always have some ugly Buckeyes. They don't all turn out perfect, and it's fine. They all taste the same. So I'll dip a few before I turn it off so you can see. I just kind of swirl it around, and I'm just going to put it down here on my wax paper. This part actually goes really fast. If once the chocolate melts, the dipping part is the fastest part of the whole thing, I guess, really. My camera messed up or something when I was dipping the Buckeyes, so I did dip a few, and I think you got the general idea. You can see here all of my Buckeyes have been dipped, and they've been in the freezer, and they're really cold. I'm gonna stand up. I don't know if I'll probably take me out of the camera, but I'm just gonna literally take this one, and I'm just gonna put it right in this container, right on the wax paper. And then I'm just going to take another piece of wax paper and put it right on top of that. And then I'm going to take these and put them right on top of there. When I get this so far down, I'll just take the rest of those and put them on top when I can handle the wax paper. But this pan was a little bit bigger, so it was harder to put in there. But like right here, I'm just going to take that and do that. It doesn't hurt if they touch a little bit. I just like try to keep them separated for the most part. So we're going to take this one. And do the same thing. So there you have it. I have a whole huge, this is a huge container of Buckeyes, and I hope you've seen how I made them. I hope that I probably said this before, I can't remember. I hope if you haven't made Buckeyes that maybe I could teach you from this video how to try it, and I hope you do try it. And if you do, please let me know, because I'd love to hear that you tried it and how it went. And if you have any questions, please let me know. If you already make Buckeyes and you have any tips for me or something that I could learn from you, also please let me know that, because I would love to learn something different than how I do it. This is just the way that I've done it my whole life, and I've never tried to do it any other way. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I feel like it was kind of a mess, but I'm a mess, so it's okay. I'm still learning all this video stuff. So until next time.